Hey guys, Button25 here, watching launch of Cygnus NG12. That NG I believe stands for Northrop Grumman. But some of you have been watching Cygnus launches for a while might remember that it used to be OA. And probably different before that. That's because the reason for that is the Cygnus vehicle was originally developed by Orbital Sciences, which then merged with another company to become Orbital ATK, which then was bought by Northrop Grumman. So now Northrop Grumman is operating that. So for now I'll tell you more about the payloads and the vehicle and the Antares itself and the 9-minute ride to orbit, because I assure you we have more than enough time. 9, 8, 7,
5,
4,
3, 2, 1.
mission of the RD-181s and liftoff of the Antares.
NG-13 mission. Wallops flight facility. Engines at 100%.
As of course the Wallops, the sun's taking place from Wallops in
TVC's nominal.
well, it's Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport, but where?
Engine
Virginia.
nominal.
That's it.
Attitude
Sorry, because I really went Virginia and I got a certain John Denver song in my head.
nominal.
So yes. Well, let's talk about that Antares, shall we?
10,000.
This is the
Attitude
the
nominal.
230 plus variant.
Core system performance nominal.
Blah 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 blah. Sorry, this uses two RD-181 engines on the first stage.
Velocity 1100 feet per second.
It has,
Attitude continues nominal.
early on I believe it used a different engine, which, while I cannot recall, I'm looking at this.
Attitude nominal.
So it's powered by
Power subsystem continues.
Aerojet AJ26 engines,
Altitude.
which are the original NK-33 engines used. They were built for the Soviet lunar rocket, the N-1.
100%.
However, those are old engines, and there was an issue with one of the launches a few years ago where the thing just exploded. And after that, the things got redesigned to the 200 series, which,
feet per second.
because before that was the 100 series.
2 minutes into the flight, they've passed maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle.
Engine and
So the engines got replaced with RT-181s,
100,000
which
feet
I think might be the same type
Flight.
of engine as used on the Atlas V, just with one,
Pressure's nominal.
just with only one engine, but as opposed to two of the RD-180.
Engine steady 100%.
A minute and a half to go in first stage performance.
And the second stage is actually solid fuel, which is odd. Usually it would be the other way around. Like, if you had a solid fueled stage, it would be either a kick stage, to be fair, which is the upper stage, but
Engine steady.
usually the orbital insertion stage would be liquid fueled. Not here. It's a Castor 30XL.
8,000 feet per second.
So that's the Antares. It's
Core
built
pressure
by
nominal.
now Northrop Grumman.
Engines
Yes.
at 100%.
Coming up on 3 minutes into flight.
Now then, the actual. Let's talk like now the Cygnus. This is the
MECO slew maneuver initiated.
It's the advanced Cygnus, which means it's got one of those round solar panels as opposed to the just rectangular one of the early ones.
Engines at 55% and nominal.
The Cygnus are built in Dulles, Virginia. Keeping an eye on that.
14,000 feet per second. Main engine cutoff.
Main engine cutoff confirmed. Standing
Okay.
by for stage 1 separation.
There's usually a bit of a coast phase after this.
Upper ACS enabled. Stage 1 SEP.
Stage 1 separation confirmed. The next milestone is fairing separation, which will come in about 40 seconds.
Yes, you can see there's a fairly lengthy coast phase here.
100 kilometers.
Right, so the mission control teams are based in Houston.
15 seconds. Stage 2 initial.
There you go, fairing SEP apparently.
Fairing separation confirmed.
Right, so it's currently loaded with just a bit over 3.5 tons of cargo. the Cygnus spacecraft
Interstage
there.
separation confirmed.
Although I can't find whether the spacecraft was named. So I don't know if that was
Stage 2 ignition.
And stage 2 ignition is confirmed. Stage 2 is that solid rocket fuel that will burn for about 3 minutes and 43 seconds. Burnout will come about 7 minutes and 9 seconds into flight.
Then there's going to be another bit of a coast phase. Right, so. Right, so. Right, 3,633 kilograms of cargo. Let's talk about that. So they've got a Ka-band terminal assembly apparently, which I think
ATC system performance nominal.
it's for, which is destined for the Columbus module, which is the European module of the ISS. Its purpose is to improve the
FDS
communications capability of the Columbus module. Critical spares, atmospheric constituents. Guess it's apparently like, from what I'm looking at it,
BBC nominal.
a backup mass spectrometer to
Roughly 100 seconds to stage 2 burnout.
support the laboratory, so it's some experiment mass spectrometer to those who actually know that. Good.
Vehicle systems nominal.
Rest of the launching an external high definition camera, which I presume is something for the AGC. I presume that's either just for like viewing the outside of the space station for the Earth experiment.
CDC system.
Water storage. Okay, so that's more water. Nitrogen and oxygen tanks.
2 nominal. Roughly 1 minute and stage 2 burnout.
And the polar flight assembly is called, which I presume in this case it's just perhaps they're testing it. I don't know, but it's
3 kilometers altitude.
gives cold stowage capability to support cargo transportation to the ISS. So I presume that's the ability to keep certain
Mike on countdown 1. Hot Mike.
Performance nominal. Good attitude.
certain payloads. Sorry about that. Keep certain payloads bound for the ISS
30 seconds to stage 2 burnout.
on what's the word I'm looking for? At the correct temperature. Whew. You can see there's actually, like, if you're looking at that map down there, just a side note, there.
Heading into burnout.
As you can see, this isn't an instantaneous launch window like, say, with most Falcon 9 launches. Because
Stage 2 burnout.
there's about a 5-minute launch window.
Stage 2 burnout confirmed. Cygnus now moving about 16,822 miles per hour.
Now, I would like to point out, you can see it's still gaining speed, the vehicle's still gaining speed. That's because an SRB, like solid rocket booster, isn't like a normal engine where once you shut it down, it's off. This thing is still, there's still some tiny bits of fuel left in there, and that's still burning off. That's why they're waiting 2 minutes before they separate, 2 minutes or so before they separate the Cygnus.
Power nominal. The vehicle will continue to coast.
Because otherwise there's a risk of it just colliding with the Cygnus again. Right, let's talk about some of the experiments. We've got Mobile Space Lab, which is
Cygnus separation will
quick
come
turnaround
about 9
platform.
minutes and 4 seconds into
Basically,
flight.
it's a tissue and cell growth
Roughly 1 minute to payload separation.
facility. Military initial demonstration of new miniature. Rest they're launching an electron microscope with spectroscopy.
ATS and power subsystems
Sapphire 4, which is the thing, spacecraft fire. It's just to see how things burn in space. They usually do that after the vehicle undocks, because I believe there is still the previous Cygnus on orbit. Osteomics.
altitude.
It's apparently to test for bone loss. I don't.
30 seconds to payload separation.
I apologize. I don't have that good a knowledge of biology, so I'm just quoting what I can read on Wikipedia. And phage evolution, which apparently is the effect of microgravity and radiation exposure
Vehicle
on
subsystems
bacteria.
operate nominal.
There's also 3 CubeSats being brought up that will be deployed from the space station. Those being Red-Eye 2, Demi, and TechEdsat 10.
Welcome to
Attitude nominal.
Verizon
Heading
Wireless.
into
The
separation
wireless
event.
customer you called is not available at this time. Please try your call again later. Announcement 1, switch 1.
There we go. There's apparently the separation.
3.
We have
And you can see the caster is actually
Welcome to Verizon.
And spacecraft
is actually
separation
rotating. just, I presume the reason for that is just in case of any residual thrust.
Beginning.
It will, because there's probably still is some residual thrust coming off that booster, it will go either yeah, they're going sideways, so we'll go sideways relative to the vehicle, because if they turned all the way around, it would be the exhaust hitting off the vehicle, which, hitting off the signal switch. Yeah, it wouldn't be a nice thing. So yes, that was the launch of Cygnus MG12. I'm Bottom 25. Goodbye.